Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. NFL Week 13 Vegas spread picks. And for you guys looking for the Thanksgiving picks, I did a separate video on Monday. I'll link that in the description. We got some good plays there, but I'm absolutely loving this week. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, and it's an honor and a blessing to go to battle with you guys week in and week out. Let's get to Week 13. Let's have some fun. First game, Black Friday. We got the Chicago Bears at the Philadelphia Eagles. Bears +7. I got a strong Bears cover here. Eagles win. I think the Eagles just find a way to win this game. And you wonder what's going on with the Eagles, the lack of rhythm on offense. We're hearing reports that maybe Hurts isn't following directions. He's ad-libbing. We see A.J. Brown getting more and more frustrated. And when you come off a 21-0 just comeback at the hands of the Dallas Cowboys, that will leave you reeling. But I believe the Eagles are able to do just enough to win this game. They can win it by 3 or 4 points. On the other side, the Bears have been a little bit of a surprise entity. Listen, I didn't think they would be so good at covering spreads, and I didn't think Ben Johnson would be able to just harness Caleb Williams in this game. But the big matchup I'm looking for in this game, and the reason why I think the Eagles win the game, is this Eagles defense is going to come out with vengeance. And a big part of the success of the Chicago Bears offense is running the ball and using play action and getting Caleb Williams outside of the pocket. I feel like the addition of Jalen Phillips and some other additions, we're seeing Jalen Carter finally get healthy and 100% again. You see the difference that makes. I don't think the Bears are going to be able to run the ball this game. And I just think 7 points is too much, especially with the way the Eagles offense is playing. I got the Bears to cover, Eagles to win on Black Friday. Next game, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Tampa Bay Bucs. Cardinals +3. Guys, this one's really tough to pick. But as of right now, I'm going Bucs to win in the cover. Not a lot of science because, firstly, this is a Bucs team that's reeling. This is a Bucs team that's fighting for their life. I mean, this looked like a Bucs team that might be first, second, third seed just 4 or 5 weeks ago in this NFC playoff picture. And we've seen the season just completely just go kapoof. And Baker Mayfield's health is the main issue here. So I am counting on Baker Mayfield being 65-70% and getting Bucky Irvin back, and that being just enough. On the other side of the ball, the Cardinals, listen, it was a dignified performance against the Jags, but let's be honest, this Cardinals team is riddled with injuries. They're riddled with problems. I know they're getting Marvin Harrison Jr. back this week. Knock on wood, we thought he would be back last week. But I just think the difference in this game is, I know this Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary has been god-awful. They keep giving up 4, 5, 6, 7 explosive plays a ball game. But one thing they can do, and one thing they can do often, is stop the run and get pressure on the quarterback. I think they sacked Jacoby Brissett 4 or 5 times in this game, and they take Baker out of the equation. Baker will be a warrior. The Toradol will be pumping, and I think Baker and the Bucs do just enough with the home field advantage. And one thing about the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm not like a big trend better, I don't like going back in history by any means, but I never like the Cardinals when they're going on the road. Give me the Bucs -3 to win in the cover. Guys, I will not be betting this game. There is not a lot of science. Next game, AFC South. Who would have thought the AFC South would be riveting? We got the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. Texans +4.5. Money, money, money. Money, Texans winning cover. We were on the Texans last week against the Bills. And this is going to be a tough matchup. And this is the Texan season on the line. And what the Colts did in Arrowhead was really impressive for the first three quarters. But I think we're starting to see the flaws of the Colts. I think we're starting to see the flaws of Daniel Jones. And like I said, going into last week's game against the Colts, I feel like Shane Steichen is losing a little bit of confidence in Daniel Jones. And I know the weakness of the Texans' defense is stopping the run. We saw James Cook break a big one, and we know the defensive tackles are a bit undersized. You can run it on the Texans. But I think this Texans defense is the best in the league, and I think they're going to sell out to stop the run and make Daniel Jones beat them. And when you look at this Houston secondary, I absolutely love the matchups they have. I know Tyler Warren's been an absolute dog, but if you look at Alec Pierce, if you look at guys like Michael Pittman Jr., I'm not saying they're bad players, but they're above average to average players. And is that going to be enough? Is Shane Steichen going to be able to scheme guys wide open like he was earlier in the year? If Jonathan Taylor doesn't get 120 yards in this game, the path to victory for the Colts is looking rather complicated. And I do wonder if they are feeling a little bit of pressure. I really do. And they made some great red zone stops. That Colts defense is looking very good. But I also feel like Houston has some playmakers themselves. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Davis Mills is 3-0 as a starter. Guys, if you watch that first half against the Bills, look at how many wide open guys Davis Mills missed. I think Stroud coming back gives a little bit of a boost. Now, we don't know if the Colts injury situation on the defensive line will be better by the time this kicks off. But one key component of this Texans renaissance, so to speak, is Woody Marks and running the ball. I just think 4.5 is way too many points. I got the Texans to win the game, but the money pick is on Texans plus 4.5 in a divisional battle. I just feel like it's too many points. And sometimes the law of averages always comes back to bite you. And we are seeing it with Daniel Jones. And I do want to repeat one thing. I feel like the last 2-3 games for the Colts, Shane Steichen has lost confidence in Daniel Jones. Give me the Texans to cover, make it a damn money pick. Next game of the century. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the New York Jets. Falcons minus 2.5. I had the Falcons last week. No science. But guys, I'm going to go Falcons winning the cover again. I think this Falcons defense, they have been getting exposed in the secondary. But one thing they can do is they've been blitzing well. I like what Ulbricht's done from that standpoint as defensive coordinator. I know the strength of the Jets team is their offensive line, but I want to see Tyrod Taylor do it 2 times in a row. I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor is a scrub by any means, but I think the Atlanta Falcons will be able to get pressure and get pressure often. And also, sometimes you do wonder, are we getting to the point where the Jets fully want to win this game? Are we getting to the point where maybe Aaron Glenn's eyeing that quarterback of the future? I've never been a big tank guy in the NFL. I don't think you can tank in such a physical game, but when you trade away Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, it is kind of the closest thing to tanking you can get. And we didn't see a terrible performance from Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying it was great, but I did like the game plan a little bit better against the Saints. And I think this is a game where Bijan Robinson can go off. The Saints mostly held Bijan in check. Check out the player prop show. We had the under. They mostly held Bijan Robinson in check. But I think this is a Bijan Robinson game. I think this is a game where Atlanta has way too many playmakers. And I get it. No one likes betting Atlanta on the road. No one likes betting Atlanta to win 2 straight games. I mean, every single year. Is there a more inconsistent team in this league than the Falcons? I can't name one. And this coaching staff isn't any bottle of roses themselves, but also Aaron Glenn and that Jet staff, they're not the greatest either. Give me the Falcons minus 2.5 winning cover on the road in the Meadowlands. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jags. Lawrence, picks galore, man. At the Tennessee Titans, Jags minus 6.5. I got the Titans to cover, Jags to win. And this is one if you have balls of brass and you're feeling yourself Sunday morning, why not put up the Titans? And this is a Jags team that has a lot of issues. One issue isn't Liam Cohen. I feel like he's been one of the best play callers in this league. But I also feel like when the Jags are on the road, the defense really never follows. And they like to blitz. They like to get aggressive. But that also leads to big plays. And when you're looking at this Jags team, when you're looking at this Jags offense led by Trevor Lawrence, I know the Titans have been historically bad. I know the Titans have a litany of issues and they're an absolute ragtag bad news bunch. But 6.5 is a lot of points for a home underdog in a divisional game. Give me the Titans to cover. Jags win the game. But with the Jags, anything's possible. I could even see a loss because they did not play good against the Cardinals, and I felt like they were lucky to get out of there with a win. Next game, we're going to Heinz Field. Am I going to do it? Am I going to have to do this? We got the Buffalo Bills at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bills minus 3.5. Money, borderline. I want this to work down to 3. Guys, I hate betting teams on the road to Heinz Field. We know that's an absolute gauntlet to go into. Crazy stuff happens there. Remember the Colts 6 turnover day. But give me the Bills to win in the cover with an emphatic win. And I know Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I think that will help the Steelers' offense. But if you look at the Steelers' game against the Bears, the offense was not the issue. Mason Rudolph was not the issue. And frankly, the big issue with the Steelers team the whole year has been the defense, specifically the secondary. And I know I've been criticizing the Bills the whole year. I feel like the only real weapon, the only dog on this offense other than Josh Allen is James Cook. And I know the Steelers have been stopping the run a little bit better, but I just think this is a Josh Allen God mode prove it game. That's why I said borderline money pick, because we need to get this down to 3. This hook can be very dangerous, and we understand the kicking game in Heinz Field. I don't want to bore anyone talking about special teams, talking about Boswell, talking about how Heinz Field is one of the toughest places to kick in the league. So try to wait for this to work down. I'm sure it will work down to 3 by kick, but I got the Bills to win in the cover, borderline money pick. This is just Josh Allen needing to prove himself. And I didn't feel like Josh Allen played great against the Texans. I felt like it was one of his worst games. We saw it coming, but this is a much lighter defense, and I'll reiterate my point. The main weakness, the main problem with the Steelers this whole year isn't the offense. It's that secondary, and I'm not sure they can cover, especially if Josh Allen is buying time. Give me the Bills -3.5. Make it a damn money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. Guys, get on Patreon. It's Tuesday. Lots of injuries. My final bets are up Friday night, and that's our tradition. Make sure you get on Patreon, the best gambling community on the internet. You'll love it there. Link in the description. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Miami Dolphins. Phins -6. I got the Phins to win in the cover. And I know this is a Saints defense that has fought valiantly the whole year. And I absolutely have to tip my cap to Kellen Moore and Staley for keeping these guys active, fit, and just fighting their tails off. But at a certain point, when Tyler Shuck is your quarterback, it starts to show. And they were in the red zone an awful lot against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. And they didn't have a lot to show for it. And I'm sticking with my original point. I just don't think Tyler Shuck is a starting NFL quarterback in this league. I'm not even sure he's a number 2. I know he had that flash. I know he had that nice game against the Carolina Panthers, and I know he has shown some mobility, but this is a Dolphins team that is putting up points. I think the Dolphins get into the 24, 27-point range because you can still get at the Saints secondary, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Saints pass rush. Also, this Saints offensive line isn't helping Shuck out. You send blitzes. Ever since Eric McCoy got hurt earlier in the year, we're seeing a Saints offensive line that is just chasing shadows at times. And like I said, I'm not making excuses for Shuck, but I think Miami comes in, takes care of business. Miami at home in the heat. Miami -6, winning cover, and listen, this Miami team has had a little bit of rejuvenation. I'm not saying they're making a late run, but it does seem like Mike McDaniel is going to stay at the helm. It does seem like Tua is playing with more confidence. Give me the better quarterback. I know 6 is an awful lot, especially when you look on that Dolphins defense and their secondary. It's an awful lot, but I just think the Dolphins put up more points. This is one I might have to just make a nasty bet and just hold your nose, and you might have to do it. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Cleveland Browns. 49ers -6. Guys, I have no idea what to do with this one. I got the 49ers to win. Actually, 49ers winning the cover. And, man, that Raiders team was terrible against the Browns. That was one of the most embarrassing picks I think I've ever made. And I'm not a Shedeur Sanders hater. I like Shedeur Sanders, and I felt like he should have been in there a long time ago. But this 49ers defense is starting to play better, and this is the Browns offense that can't really push your buttons. And I mentioned last week Stefanski. I don't love his game plans. I don't feel like he creates open spaces, and this Browns offensive line comes and goes when it comes to running the ball. One improvement we've seen from the 49ers defense, even though they've been so banged up with so many injuries, you got Warner out, you got Bosa out. I mean, it's a laundry list of the injuries of starters, but the 49ers just keep coming. They played like shit against the Panthers, and they were able to cover. This is a 49ers team that is too determined, and we know this Browns defense is an absolute juggernaut at home. You guys should be looking at the under. I'm not a big fan of taking a side in this game, but not a lot of science. 49ers winning the cover. Next game, we got the Minnesota Vikings at The Seattle Seahawks. Hawks minus 10. Money, money, money. Money, borderline. We have to see how this week plays out, but give me the Hawks to win in the cover, borderline money pick. Max Brosmer starting for J.J. McCarthy, and I told you guys going into last week, J.J. McCarthy has had a historically bad season as a quarterback, and some people were crunching the numbers. I mentioned guys like Deshaun Kaiser. I mentioned guys like DTR, but his EPA per play is actually closer to Jamarcus Russell and Josh Rosen. So maybe the Vikings get a boost with Brosmer, and maybe you see this matchup as something that can confuse Sam Darnold, because this Vikings defense hasn't reached the heights they have reached the last 3 years under Brian Flores. But one thing the Vikings can do is they can bring pressure. But at a certain point, I don't think it matters. I think the Seahawks enter this game in a bad mood. They can't be happy how that game finished against the Tennessee Titans. They can't be happy about the last 2 weeks and the last 2 performances. And this is the Vikings offensive line that has been playing better. But when you get into this trench, the Seattle trench on defense versus the Vikings offensive line, I just think Seattle's going to dominate that area. And I think Sam Darnold doesn't need to do an awful lot in this game. I see like a 24-10 score. I think the Seahawks take out vengeance, and the Seahawks really didn't deserve to lose that game against the Rams. I think we see a really motivated Seahawks team come in this game, minus 10, winning cover, borderline money pick. Just be careful with these big spreads. We saw what happened last week with the Ravens, 13.5, 13. We saw what the Lions did against the Giants. Just be careful, but you got to like the Seahawks here. And I did see a little bit of Brosmer in preseason. Guys, I don't know what he's going to give, but I think we can all make a bet and roll the dice and say he doesn't have a lot to give. The only way the Vikings cover this game is if they hit Sam Darnold 6 to 7 times. And with the way the Seahawks have the run-pass balance working, I'm just not seeing it happen. Seahawks minus 10, borderline money pick. Next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers minus 9.5. Chargers winning the cover. Guys, it's just, this is one like, do you want to lay it or not? This Raiders team's really bad, and they get a new offensive coordinator in Greg Olsen, but haven't we seen him step in at least 2 times as interim offensive coordinator? I feel like he has a career job working for the Raiders. We'll see what we get from the Raiders, but I don't care who's calling plays on offense. I don't care who's whistling the play. I don't care who Geno Smith has to throw to. With the way this Raiders offensive line is blocking, the confusion we see up front, and their inability to get Genty going, I just can't see the Raiders hanging in here. Give me the Chargers to win in the cover with the minus 9.5. I mean, there's just not a lot to say about the Raiders. Like, that was one of the most horrendous performances I've ever seen against the Browns. And I'm not taking anything away from Shedeur Sanders when he rolled right and slung it 50, 60 yards. It was one of the best throws we saw all Sunday. But even look at Trey Tucker. Even look at this receiving core for the Raiders. Can someone hold on to the ball? Can someone make a block? I don't think so, man. And I don't think there's any come to Jesus moment and new offensive coordinator bounce. Give me the Chargers minus 9.5, and the Chargers need to get serious. They got the bye week at the right time. Chargers winning the cover. Next game, we got 2 interesting prime times, not the best prime time games. We got the Denver Broncos at the Washington No Names. Broncos minus 6.5. Guys, I got the Commanders to cover. I just think this is too many points. And I know this Commanders defense is really, really bad. And They like to play man-to-man, but I'm not sure Bo Nix carves them into oblivion. I just think this is a game where the Commanders are able to keep it close. This Broncos defense is so damn good, but at least when you have Mariota, you know you're going to be able to put up points. But there really is no science here because week in and week out, you don't know what offense you're going to see from the Broncos. Are you going to see the offense from the Broncos against the Raiders, or are you going to see the offense where they're explosive, where they're pushing the ball down the field and Bo Nix looks comfortable? I'm going Commanders plus 6.5 to cover. I have no damn idea on this one. Next game, we got the New York Giants at the New England Patriots. Giants plus 7.5. Guys, I am worried about this Patriots offensive line. They have two big injuries on the offensive line. But, guys, I'm going to go Patriots to win in the cover. I think the Patriots are in a bounce-back spot, and I think this Giants defense, I know the pass rush was excellent, but this pass rush comes and goes, and I just wonder how much can this Giants offense generate? Are we going to get Jameis? Are we going to get Jackson Dart? We had a Jameis Winston special, and those come along once in a blue moon, once every year. I wish we got to see more of that. I'm going to go Patriots to win in the cover. Not a lot of science. I'll do a separate video on this Monday game because I really want to study it. I want to see who's going to start at quarterback, and I really need to dig deep into these Patriots offensive line injuries because, like I said, man, I know this Giants defensive line is great on paper, but there's limits to this, man. There is limits, and we don't know what Giants defense shows up. Give me the Patriots to win in the cover with the minus 7.5. I know everyone wants to get on the Giants here after that performance against the Lions, but the Giants have 2 wins for a reason. They're a pretty bad football team with limited targets. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. The best gambling show on the internet. Thank you, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving picks are up in the other video. I'll link it in the comment section.